Okay, real talk. You just had a kid, or maybe your kid is 3, 5, 8 years old, and someone just told you to start saving for their future. And you nodded, you smiled, and on the inside you thought, save how? From where? I can barely cover my own rent. And here's the thing, that feeling, that silent panic, that is not a you problem. That is a nobody ever taught us problem. Look, most parents spend more time picking a stroller than planning for their kids' financial future. And I get it. Life is expensive. Diapers are expensive. Everything is expensive. But I'm going to show you something today that changes the math so dramatically. It almost feels unfair because here's what most people don't realize. Building serious generational wealth for your child does not require you to be rich. It requires you to be early. And right now, the government just handed every parent in America a tool that makes being early almost effortless. My name is James, and I spend way too much time thinking about the mechanics of tax-advantaged investing for children. If you're someone who wants to set your kids up financially, but has absolutely no idea where to start, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. All right, let's get into it. In 2025, Congress passed something called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, and buried inside that legislation is a brand new savings vehicle for children called, and yes, this is its actual name, a Trump account. Here's the setup for every American child who is a U.S. citizen, born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st, 2028. The federal government will deposit $1,000 for free into an investment account in your child's name. No catch, no repayment. Just a $1,000 seed sitting in an S&P 500 index fund, starting to compound from the moment your baby takes their first breath. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. $1,000. That's it? My kid's going to need way more than that. And you're right. But here's what most people don't realize. It's not the $1,000 that matters. It's what happens to that $1,000 over the next 18 years. The S&P 500 has delivered an average annual return of around 10% over nearly 70 years of history. Not every year. Some years it crashes, some years it soars. But over long stretches of time, 10%. So let's run the numbers. That $1,000 government deposit just sitting there, doing nothing, earning 10% a year for 18 years, turns into roughly $5,500 by the time your kid turns 18. You did nothing. You contributed nothing. $5,000 just from time. But here's where it gets really interesting, because you don't have to just let the government's money sit there. You can add to this account yourself, up to $5,000 per year. Grandparents can contribute. Aunts, uncles, employers, even charities can throw money in. And none of those personal contributions are taxed on the way out. Let's say you put in just $150 a month on top of that initial $1,000. That's $1,800 a year, consistent. Nothing crazy. A Netflix subscription and a couple of takeout nights. At 10% average annual return, by the time your child turns 18, that account could be sitting at over $100,000 from $150 a month. And that is when things get really, really interesting. See, here's the thing about a Trump account. When your child turns 18, it automatically converts to a traditional IRA. Same rules, same withdrawal guidelines. And most people, when they hear traditional IRA, they think, okay, fine, retirement account, and they leave it there. But here's what most people don't realize. And this is the move that changes everything. At 18 years old, if your kid is in college, maybe working a part-time job, earning a modest income, they are probably in the lowest tax bracket they will ever be in for the rest of their lives. And that is the perfect moment to convert that traditional IRA into a Roth IRA. because once it's in a Roth, everything that ever grows inside that account from that point forward is completely tax-free. No taxes on the gains. No taxes when they pull it out at retirement. The government never touches it again. Think about what that means. Your child has maybe $120,000 at 18. They convert it. They pay a relatively small tax bill on that conversion because they're in a low bracket. And then that money, now in a Roth IRA, keeps growing untouched by taxes for the next 47 years. At 10% annually for 47 more years, we're talking about a number that starts with a 1 and has 6 zeros behind it. That is not a typo. That is the power of compound interest when you get out of its way and let it work. Now, some of you might be asking, what about a custodial Roth IRA? Can't I already open one of those for my kid? And the answer is yes, technically. But here's the catch. A custodial Roth IRA requires your child to have earned income, meaning they need a job, a real job, with a W-2 or self-employment income. Your 5-year-old cannot have a custodial Roth IRA. Your 10-year-old cannot have one unless they're genuinely getting paid for work. The Trump account removes that barrier entirely. No earned income required. You can open one the day your child is born, before they've said a single word, before their first steps, before their first day of kindergarten. The clock starts ticking immediately, and in investing, starting earlier is worth more than any return rate, any stock pick, any financial strategy you will ever find. And this is the part that should make every parent watching feel the urgency. Starting at birth versus starting at 25, even contributing more money per month. The birth start still wins. By 2 to 3 times the final wealth. Every time. Time isn't just a factor in this equation. Time is the equation. So how do you actually do this? Let me make this simple. Trump accounts are expected to be available starting July 4th, 2026. You'll open one through the official portal at trumpaccounts.gov or by filing IRS Form 4547. You'll need your child's Social Security number. You can file that form now with your 2025 tax return, so the account is ready the moment the program launches. To qualify for the free $1,000 government seed, your child must be a U.S. citizen born between January 2025 and December 2028. If your child was born before 2025, they don't get the government deposit, but they can still open a Trump account. Contribute up to $5,000 a year, and the compounding math still works in your favor. You just don't get the free head start. The investments inside the account are limited to low-cost index funds, specifically funds that track the S&P 500 or a similar broad U.S. equity index, with fees capped at just 0.1%. That's it. No fancy stock picks, no crypto, no speculative plays. Just the entire American economy compounding quietly in the background. And honestly, for a children's account with an 18-year horizon, that is exactly what you want. Boring, predictable, relentless growth. Now look, I want to be real with you because this is a finance channel, and I respect your intelligence. There are a few things you need to know. No money comes out of this account before your child turns 18. Period. No exceptions for emergencies. If that flexibility matters to you, a UGMA or UTMA account gives you more access, just without the tax advantages. Also, when your child hits 18, this account is in their name. They control it. So that Roth conversion strategy I described, that's a conversation you'll need to have with your 18-year-old, which means another important investment you should be making alongside the money is their financial education. Teach them what compound interest is. Show them this video when they're 12. Give them the language and the understanding to make smart decisions when that account lands in their lap. Look, most people are going to scroll past this video and do nothing. They're going to say, "I'll look into that later." And later never comes. But the people who actually act, the people who file that form, who set up that automatic contribution, even a small one, they are quietly building something that the next generation will look back on and call a gift. You don't have to be wealthy to do this. You have to be intentional. The government is literally giving you $1,000 head start. The S&P 500 is doing the heavy lifting. All you have to do is open the account and let time do the rest. This is your moment, not next month, not when things settle down financially. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. If this video helped you or shifted your outlook on building wealth for your kids, do me a favor. Share it with someone who just had a baby, someone who's pregnant, or honestly, any parent who's been meaning to figure this stuff out. Because the earlier someone sees this, the more it matters. I'll see you on the next one.